Hi guys, it's Lisa. I have a little story for you. When I came to Bali, I was introduced to a guy, and later my friends told me that this guy created Bitcoin. I was so confused because I know that nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. I'm going to talk to him soon, but please decide on your own to believe or not. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. I'm still alive.
You're here in Bali.
Yeah, I know. I say I'm still alive because lots of people out there think I'm dead.
Don't make such
No,
jokes.
I'm serious. Lots of people out there speculate, oh, this guy must be dead. I hate to disappoint most of you that think or want me to be dead. I'm not dead. I'm still alive.
I'd like to ask you one question. Are you a real Satoshi Nakamoto?
Yes.
You invented Bitcoin 10 years ago.
Yes, it was me. It was basically pieces of a puzzle, a larger puzzle that was already out there, broken in pieces, and I just assembled it. I don't like to think of myself as an inventor because I really didn't invent anything. I just put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Now we can start. Where you come from?
I'm from Texas.
You studied there?
I went to several universities as a guest.
And what did you study?
Basically computer science. I did a lot of online study too.
Have you finished?
No, I'm not really. I haven't graduated anything.
Do you have any hobbies?
I like crossword puzzles. I like walks on the beach, movies on the weekend.
So now I'd like to move to the Bitcoin story.
Okay, let me explain to you. Since Bitcoin began, computer scientists, technologists, everyone's had access to the same information. So we're just going to convert that part of the script signature. Okay, everyone's had access to this, but I'm the only one that published this very simple conversion. It's spelled backwards. The Times, 3 January 2009, Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks, if you read it backwards.
Tell me the real story. What happened 10 years ago? How did you start the project?
Well, I was researching papers online. I was actually looking at the early BitTorrent protocols that made BitTorrent a success in file sharing. And I was watching an expose about so-called new innovation that was allowing people to transfer value through RFID. And I thought, well, that's really an inefficient way. I mean, because basically in our RFID chip, there's devices that can intercept, or they can basically take even from like a few inches away. If they just brush up against you and you have any RFID chips in your wallet or in your pocket, they're gonna be able to clone it or intercept those signals to make their own RFID chip.
What was the goal of the Bitcoin?
The title of the paper is Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, is a system that is vicarious to cash. And what's being done now through the stock market system of trading, because that's what everyone knows in traditional financial markets, is let's follow the live rate, let's go with the live rate, and who controls that live rate? Most of it's just speculation. All the trades are just speculative based on what the value will be, and that's primarily dependent on the pump and dump cycles of these big banks that are controlling the price of Bitcoin.
Back to that years, how many people did you have in your crew?
Well, I won't say I had any people on my crew. I just released a paper. It was peer-reviewed by some people that I was talking to who had at the time systems similar to the nature of Bitcoin. And I was able to, I released a paper through a cryptographic mailing list, and that was received well, which was unexpected actually. I wasn't actually expecting people to receive it well. Mm-hmm. Because for decades, even since the early 80s, David Lee Chong wrote several papers on what electronic cash should be, how it should operate, and then he went off and created DigiCash. I wasn't actually expecting the paper to be received well.
So you wrote Bitcoin white paper?
I wrote the Bitcoin white paper. There was a subsection called calculations that needed a certain individual, I'm not going to mention his name, it's not important, a certain individual who is really skilled at mathematical calculations. That person was able to participate, and he was able to edit the subsection titled calculations. But everything else I wrote.
And what do you think about Nick Szabo?
He's a very smart guy.
As far as I understand,
He's not mentioned on the white paper.
yeah. Why?
Well, see,
He was most
okay. So he had a system which was in limbo for years. It was called Bitgold, and some consider it a precursor to Bitcoin. But actually, Bitcoin, the code and the format is, although different, the logical model is very similar. What is the logical model? It means basically how the functions should work, but what precisely the functions are different.
So you didn't mention him on purpose?
It's like one of these things when you're trying to be efficient in your sources and your references part, when you're compiling all the material that you reviewed, everything that you've taken into account to develop your own idea, you list. Those things that were of no consequence, you're not obligated to list anything that you didn't research. So although Nick Szabo is a very interesting fellow and he's very smart, very, very talented gentleman, he had nothing to do with actually the research that I did.
Also, I read that you escaped from the team after several years. Escaped or?
I like that. I escaped.
Well, you leave.
So okay.
You left.
You have an employer. The employer says, "Come to work on Monday morning." You come to work on Monday morning. He says, "Oh, by the way, this past week that you worked, I'm not going to pay you a salary." And you're thinking, well, I'll work another week and maybe my employer will pay me. So then the next Monday you come into work and he just tells you flat out, I'm not going to pay you anymore. Most people are just going to leave. They're not going to look back. They're going to leave the job and look for something that pays. No one wants to work for free. So when I lost my Bitcoins, it was time for me to check out of the project.
I see. How did it happen?